Chris and I had a dream, to drive the entire length of Idaho all on backcountry roads. It would be the most ambitious, arduous, and amazing journey we'd ever attempted. Little did we know the obstacles it would throw in our way, the challenges we'd have to overcome, nor the incredible beauty and hidden stories it would reveal along the way. It would take every last bit of fuel, fire, fixes, friends, and grit to finish this 1,200 miles right up the spine of Idaho in 10 days. This is our dream. This is the Idaho BDR. So what is the Idaho BDR? It's 1,200 miles right up the spine of Idaho, all on dirt roads. Chris, Kate, Elsha, and I spent months planning for this 8 to 10 day trip. We had to thread the needle between snowmelt and fire season and picked early July as our target date. We had a lot of things working against us on this trip. We didn't know if the roads would be passable. We didn't know fires would erupt along the way. We didn't know if there would be enough gas stations in certain parts, and we'd never driven our rigs this far in one trip. But as intimidated as we were, we still wanted to do it. Well, we're on our way to Jarbridge, Nevada. I'm following Chris down there, and we're gonna meet Rob from Outdoor Overland down there this evening at the Red Dog Saloon. So I'm really excited for that. However, while we still have cell coverage, I've been calling ahead to check the roads and check to make sure that some of these smaller places have gas. So I just called Yellow Pine General Store. They have gas, and they said the roads are good around Yellow Pine. I then called the Warren, Idaho. It's called the Bomb Shelter. They have gas. They're supplied, and the road between Yellow Pine and Warren is open right now, which is great because that's been in question. And then I called Elk City, the Elk City General Store, and asked if they had gas. If they had gas, they're all supplied. And then I asked about Magruder, the Magruder corridor, and the person on the phone said she wasn't sure. That last she heard there was still 6 to 12 feet of snow on the Magruder corridor, which is a little strange. I just saw on Facebook yesterday that someone had cleared a path, so I don't know what we're going into. It's really nice to get some comforting information from some of these other places, but Magruder is such a huge mystery, such a big piece of the trail that I do not know what we're going to get when we get there. So we'll see, one step at a time. First step, Jarbridge, Nevada, Red Dog Saloon. Pulling into Jarbridge, we met up with Rob and called our first audible. The Red Dog Saloon is closed in the summer, so instead we climbed up a mountain and found a spot to camp for the night.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good camp spot. Oh wow, that view of the mountain over there is spectacular. Still do. Oh, get out of town. Look at that.
We quickly went to work setting up camp, positioning our tents to take a bit of wind since we were seeing a little bit of weather on the horizon. We came by this campsite by mistake, but felt lucky to have found such an incredible view to kick things off, and decided to enjoy the views while we still could, because we'd find out firsthand later why mountaintops don't always make the best campsites.
Day one of the Idaho Backcountry Discovery Route above Jarbridge, Nevada. There's Will, venture to Rome's Jeep Finn. Got Rob busily editing. What are you doing, Will?
Making dinner.
Making dinner. Nice. What are we having?
Chimichurri steaks for me and you and I, and hot dogs for the kids.
Oh,
because
nice.
You know what? I think they'll like hot dogs better than chimichurri steak anyway.
Well, yeah, they won't get their fine taste established until they're much older.
Those little heathens, they get hot dogs.
Speaking of, they're the little heathens in Ripley.
Am I one of those?
Yes, the little heathen.
Little
You got
heathen here.
nothing but a hot dog.
Just one single hot dog. Please, can I have some more?
Please, sir. Here is Rob's sweet new Tundra build. Beautiful blue wrap. And the view from up here is just outstanding.
Tonight was the first of many great dinners on this trip. We used Marco from Overland X's chimichurri recipe mixed with some mushrooms and onions to put on top of the steak. Marco, if you're watching this, tip of the hat, buddy. We'd love your recipes. Watching the clouds move in from our perch was incredible.
We thought we might catch a few raindrops and saw a few lightning flashes, but nothing that was headed our way. What we did get was a massive moonrise that felt like it was at eye level with us on the mountains. I've never had a moon like that while out camping, and we took it for a good omen that as long as we treaded lightly, someone was looking out for us, a theme we'd see over and over again on this trip. Another omen of things to come was me putting my drone in a tree.
Will,
Yeah,
what you doing?
trying to uncrash my drone.
You need a hand.
Nope. Woo! Propeller's intact. I don't know.
Later that night, I found out why sometimes mountaintops are terrible places to camp. The wind was awful.
So it's about 3:30 in the morning, and we're on this beautiful perch on top of a mountain. The wind has been the worst wind I've ever experienced. Blue Sword is starting to kind of close the tent a little bit. It's not really going to close, but I could kind of feel that thing starting to close. I hope we can get some sleep. I don't know how it's going to affect tomorrow and the start, because we've got a long way to go tomorrow. So we're just going to try and get some sleep if we can and hope this wind dies down.
The next morning, we were all groggy but determined to put in the 200 miles plus and finish section 1. Chris and I began consulting the Butler BDR map on the first of many reroutes we thought we'd encounter.
So we're on section 1 here, which is about 174 miles.
This section I've never done before. So this is just, I've been around this. We've all been around this a ton.
Yeah.
But this particular section, I don't know. We're gonna come this way because this is closed.
Luckily, our camp was only a few miles outside of Jarbridge, but it was really fun to start on top of a mountain before putting in mile 1 of the Idaho BDR.
This area would be really fun to just come explore one of these days.
Before we knew it, we were back down the mountain and headed straight into Jarbridge, a town that's 100% worth a stop if you're starting the BDR.
We're starting here in Jarbridge, Nevada. Jarbridge, Nevada is an old mining town that has a ton of history, a ton of charm, and buckets full of authenticity. So where we are right now is the Outdoor Inn. The Outdoor Inn is owned by Jace, who you may have seen in our Jarbridge video, because he also owns the Red Dog Saloon, which is my favorite saloon that I've ever been to and for all time and eternity. This is a place that many people start the BDRs. A lot of motorcycle groups come and start here because you can stay the night, you can get dinner, you can get breakfast, and you can get a drink at the bar. So let's go take a look.
Yeah, it's a hot day. I'm hanging in the sunshine. You should hit me with a splash gun so I cool down. Won't you come on over? We can party till the sun's down. Baby, let me buy you a drink while we're dancing and blink. I can go for some weed.
We're about to talk to Jace, who's the owner of this, just to give you a little more insight on how this place runs.
I'm Jace, and this is Jane.
Hi there.
We own the Outdoor Inn and Red Dog Saloon in Jarbridge, Nevada. And we're open from the Memorial Day weekend to the 1st of November. And then from 1st of November to the Wednesday before Memorial Day, everything goes across the street to the Red Dog Saloon. This is the beginning of the Idaho BDR and the end of Nevada's BDR, but we have people do it both directions. This is one of the few places on the BDR route that has 91 octane ethanol free fuel.
If I did my math wrong, it's $7.86 a gallon.
As well as a motel room and a full service bar and restaurant. This is a great place to be. It's unlike any other place in the United States, and a lot of people come here and they're amazed. They don't even believe they're in Nevada when they're here. This is also home of the last horse-drawn stagecoach robbery in the United States, and what made it famous is they actually murdered the stage driver.
So how does the town of Jarbridge feel about so much traffic coming through during the summer months?
A lot of the people are glad when winter comes, but this is how we make our living. It's good for people to get out and enjoy the country.
I'll tell you what, once you come here once, it's hard not to come back. And part of that's because of you two. That you guys have put together these establishments that are so welcoming, they're so authentic. People are coming here and they're staying because of the stuff that you guys have put together. So that's really cool.
Well, thank you.
Are you ready to go? I'm ready. party. Chris, don't forget to reset your trip B odometer.
Awesome. Thanks for the reminder.
With full tanks of gas and odometer set to 0, it was time to hit the road.
Okay, the Idaho BDR 2022 has now officially begun, fellas. Here we go.
I feel like this is the point where I should say something inspirational. Something inspirational.
Those were profound words, Rob.
So we started the BDR, we're driving down Jarbridge Canyon. You know, I know this road, which is odd. I feel like we haven't started the BDR yet because I know the road and I really expect the BDR to be places that I haven't seen before. And so I'm just really anxious and interested to get to those parts that I haven't driven on yet and haven't seen. So in the meantime, I'm just enjoying a familiar road and a beautiful desert canyon.
It wasn't long until we climbed out of the canyon and hit the Bruneau Desert. This would be one of the straightest and fastest sections of the entire BDR. Our plan was to speed through this stretch and then stop in Glenn's Ferry for lunch and gas before continuing on.
We are making our way through the Bruneau Desert here on our way to Glenn's Ferry. And these roads are just long and straight. We are just trying to put some miles in right now. There's not really anything to see out here, but there is a beauty to the desert. The desert is a beautiful place if you look at it. And we've had so much moisture this year. This desert is more green than I've ever seen before. I mean, it's still a desert, but it's green. Just makes me admire the folks who actually made a life out here. The Native Americans and the homesteaders and ranchers. It's a hard life out here, but they did it and they thrived.
As the day wore on, the heat of the desert got intense. One of the reasons we wanted to speed through this section as fast as possible.
When Carson said it is 103 degrees outside. Oh man, mine too. That is brutal.
I just had to turn my cooled seat down a little bit because I was getting a little too chilly.
So this is a super barren landscape, but it's still part of Idaho, just like you.
I think what he's trying to say is Idaho.
With just a few miles of pavement, we hit Glenn's Ferry for lunch.
So what is this place?
It's a little restaurant called The Stop. It's like, you know, Glenn's Ferry's version of like a McDonald's or something. So, but it's been here ever since I was a kid, and they had great food and great shakes and stuff like that. So let's see if it's still as good as I remember.
The Stop was a surprise hit. Great burgers and shakes for the kids, and a walk down memory lane for Chris.
So Chris, you're from Glenn's Ferry.
It was a lot of fun growing up here. Rode our bikes everywhere, ride our bikes to school, go down to the Snake River. And it was, I don't know, it was just like a fun place to grow up.
Well, this is like our last kind of major point of civilization for a while.
Yeah, definitely. So from here, it's, yeah, heading north and heading into the forest.
Hopefully cooling off.
Hopefully cooling off, yeah.
For a moment there, we hit 111 degrees.
I just looked at the weather forecast for this place for the rest of the weekend. Basically 104 and 105 degrees.
So far, we've had nothing but really easy dirt roads, like pristine dirt roads, like graded and compacted. Any rig could do what we've done so far. I mean, two-wheel drive, minivan, anything could do what we've done so far. So I think we're gonna see some more challenging stuff, but so far it's been easy ride.
This is the first section so far that I'm relatively unfamiliar with. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been out like in this direction myself either. Looks like we might have a little precip up here.
Looks like we've got a little bit of rain ahead.
I'm seeing some precipitation, some rain, maybe some thunderclouds, which happens on these hot days. The rain I would not mind at all. The thunder and lightning I could do without. And I can see the mountains. We're getting there, at least the beginning of them. Cannot wait to get up there and get out of this heat.
This was such a strange part of the BDR. The roads went back and forth between dirt and pavement, and the terrain was really in between two climate types. And whenever we hit dirt, the dryness of the desert made for crazy dust trails.
Hey, did anybody order some dust?
No, I specifically put on there no dust.
Take half dust, please. Just half dust. I think this little climb right here is where that, in the BDR movies, where that guy got hurt and they came to get him. Oh yeah, that curve looks familiar. I think it was right in there, wasn't it?
If you haven't seen the Idaho BDR film made by Sterling Noren and the BDR organization, you should definitely give it a watch. To say it was inspired by Sterling is an understatement. He filmed this thing on a camcorder and a bike and made an excellent film. Lucky for us, we have a bunch of gear to help us film this trip, and Rob and I shared footage, so I'm hoping we can do it justice, which is no easy feat since Idaho is massive, rugged, and hard to pin down.
So we've gained a bit of elevation. We're at about 4,800 feet right now. So things are just a little bit greener, a little bit cooler. So cooling off, heading the right direction, getting greener. And it's really fun to see the landscape begin to change.
Looks like we're not too far away from Anderson Reservoir, maybe 5 to 10 miles.
My first big surprise of this trip was the beauty of Anderson Dam, which is on the South Fork of the Boise River.
I've never approached the dam this way. It's so pretty. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's pretty damn cool.
You're pretty damn cool.
As we wound our way along the reservoir, we approached our first detour in the BDR. This was calculated on our part. We knew we were threading the needle between snowmelt and fire season, so in an effort to be in northern Idaho earlier in the month, we accepted this detour. And I had a route and camping spot in my back pocket that I hoped the group would like, but it was tough to give up Trinity Mountain.
It's so beautiful!
I love these mountains, man. I love the Trinities. I wish we could go up there. It is so spectacular.
So now we're headed to Pine, probably gonna get some gas because we won't have another stop for gas for a long time after that. And then head up to James Creek Summit because we cannot come up to Trinity Mountain. The road is closed for four-wheeled vehicles until July 15th, and today is July 13th. So we're gonna detour around up through Rocky Bar, Idaho, and James Creek Summit, and Atlanta, Idaho, and then double back down the Boise River and connect back to the BDR route.
As a local overlander, I know this part of Idaho well, so this detour was a pretty safe bet, something that wouldn't be the case later in the trip. The road to Rocky Bar and then to Atlanta, Idaho is a great way to put yourself into some of central Idaho's most beautiful mountains. The windy, twisty road gives you new views after every turn and is maintained enough to be accessible by most vehicles. However, it's kind of way out there, so we were happy to have the road all to ourselves. One of the many seemingly random markers on the BDR tells the story of what pioneer life was like back in the 1880s, and this little monument is too interesting to pass up. So we stopped to pay homage to Peg Leg Annie.
So this is the monument to Peg Leg Annie and her friend Dutch M, who were making the trek from Rocky Bar to Atlanta and got caught in a flash winter storm up here in the mountains where there is no help. And Peg Leg Annie lost both of her feet, and her friend Dutch M didn't survive. But this monument isn't just because a tragedy happened. It's really to commemorate and honor the pioneer women of the time. And so whenever we drive by, we want to stop and just give some good vibes to Peg Leg and to Dutch M.
It was now late in the day, and we were all ready to be done, ready for an easy night.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, wow. You can already tell this is going to be a pretty campsite.
As we pulled into our home for the night, tucked away in the Idaho mountains, I had a feeling of disappointment that we weren't staying on the actual BDR. But I was equally grateful that there are so many world-class options for camping and exploring right here in Idaho.
This is night 2 of the Idaho BDR. We left from Jarbridge this morning, and now we're at the James Creek summit.
As we started in on the work of setting up camp, I quickly forgot all about Trinity Mountain. We lucky few had this mountain all to ourselves. Just me, Chris, Rob, and the kids, who by now have learned to pitch in and help. After brushing off some of the dust from the trail, we finished setting up camp and tried to soak it all in. This was just the beginning. Today we started on a windy mountaintop in Nevada, drove about 220 miles, and saw firsthand how Idaho changes from the high hot desert to the cool forested mountains. We really thought we'd accomplish something today, and that the days would get easier and shorter from here. Little did we know just how wrong we would be about almost everything, and that we need every second of sleep for the grueling days ahead, and that we'd all be changed forever by the backcountry of Idaho.
Just so beautiful right now.